Welcome to the friendliest campus in the South.
Shotgun, Blanchard, one back set, rolls right, pressure coming, throws, Middleton, go! He scores!
To the gym of the hills.
He moves it to left. That one's pretty well hit. Hall on the run. That ball is gone.
Home of the Jacksonville State Gamecocks.
Gets it over to Day, over to Hall. He fires up at the buzzer and drains the three. Oh, good defense by Cunningham. Gregory releases away. Pulls up. He checks.
This is your podcast for JSU Sports.
High fly ball. Center field. It is back. It's out of here.
With your hosts, Brandon Owens and Cody Hooks. This is Cocky Nation.
Welcome back, FCS Fan Nations and all of our JSU fans, to another episode of Cocky Nation podcast. It's been a while since we've actually been here, because we had the holiday season, and then just getting back into life has just been super busy for Brandon and I. But we're glad to be back, and hope everybody had a good start of the new year. Hopefully you ate your grapes underneath your table. But wait, you never heard about that?
I have never heard that phrase whatsoever.
Yeah, so apparently if you eat a certain number of grapes underneath the table, and you make your wishes, they'll come true.
That's dumb. I'm sorry, that's dumb.
Listen, I'm just telling you what they say. Now, I didn't do it. Like, literally, we were hosting a friend get-together for New Year's, and literally as soon as the ball dropped and it was midnight, we all said Happy New Year, had our kisses, and then it was like, okay, get out of my house. So that tells you how much of an adult I am. But because it's been so long since we've actually been here hanging out with each other, we do have a lot to talk about. We have a lot with football. We have a lot with basketball. We have some new information that's come out with some new sports that are coming to JSU. So we have a lot to do. So I think, Brandon, if you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
All righty.
Let's go.
So the first things first, we're going to dive back into football before we get into our basketball season, because right now I really don't want to talk about our basketball season. It's making me sad. But there's been some new updates to JSU football and to JSU itself. But the first thing is we now have an actual schedule. We have our full schedule, and we actually have dates, which is great. So, Brandon, I think you got a picture of that, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So
our
let's
faces go away, but I'm pretty sure our viewers are like, thank God we can't see their faces.
Maybe for you, not for me. We all know I am the voice for radio. It's fine.
Excuse you.
Listen, I have the face for radio. It's fine.
No, you don't.
But regardless, so we start out our football season, our intro into Conference USA, with a game against UTEP at JSU on the
I don't
26th.
think we've ever opened, even in the FCS, I don't think we've ever opened with a conference opponent. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. But again, like, this is going to be like our intro year. So I'm kind of excited for us to be able to have that game. Unfortunately, I will not be at that first game because that is mine and my wife's birthday weekend. So yeah, I'm not going to be there. But after that, we play ETSU on
which
the
is band day.
Yep. We face them on the 2nd of September. Coastal
A
Carolina.
day after my birthday.
Mm-hmm. Coastal Carolina is when we'll play them on the 9th of September. We will be at Coastal Carolina. Mm-hmm. We have Eastern Michigan. That's going to be a fun game on the 23rd.
Which is homecoming. This is the earliest homecoming we've ever had.
Well, we had to fit it in somewhere because we also have a couple more specialized dates later on. Sam Houston, we go to Sam Houston on the 20th of September.
The Gravy Bowl.
The Gravy Bowl. Middle Tennessee, we will face at Middle Tennessee. That's actually not very far. Brandon and I may take a look to go to that game.
I've been discussing it with a few people, and I think some of us are going to try to make the trip up to Murfreesboro.
Most definitely. Liberty, we will face them at home. That's going to be a really, really big game. We play them on October 10th. And then, which is funny because if you look at the date, that is not on a regular day. That's on a Tuesday. Gonna play Liberty on a Tuesday. Sorry, I can't rap.
Shut up.
And then Western Kentucky, we face on a Tuesday
as well.
I don't understand what's with these Tuesday games.
Well, it's our TV contract. So I think all of these midweek games are going to be televised.
I hope so. On the 25th of October, we'll play Florida International. That's going to be a Wednesday game. Yeah. And then South Carolina. This is the game that Brandon and I have been talking about for so long. We're hoping to be able to go together.
There's a lot of, okay. I can't say there's a lot of Gamecock fans going because that entire stadium's going to be full of Gamecock fans.
Well, one's going to be Gamecock Red and the other one's going to be
Gamecock Maroon.
Gamecock Maroon. But that's going to be a great game. Then we play our final game, Louisiana Tech. That'll be Southerners reunion on that Saturday, and then our last game will be on the 25th of November, which is
weekend.
Yeah, and that'll be New Mexico
That's
State.
Gonna be new.
It's weird. It's very
weird.
So, but
I'm so used to ending on the weekend before, having Thanksgiving weekend free, and then starting playoffs.
I know, right? It's weird, but strength wise for this schedule, I think this is a pretty solid schedule. I think overall this is a great way to introduce us into the FBS and to face new opponents. I think there's a lot of really good games. I'm not going to discuss who we think who we're gonna lose to. We can talk more about that once we get closer. But overall, I like it. I like the home games. I'm hoping to go to more than what I did this past year. But again, I am a wrestling coach, and as you get closer to that October, November time,
I'm about to enter into your world.
I know, it's weird. Welcome to my life, Brandon. It's great. But
yeah, so with this schedule, I think the best case scenario, we're not even eligible for the CUSA championship, which sucks. We'll play this schedule and then we'll be done. But I think best case scenario, we go 9-3.
Right.
And then worst case scenario, we go 4-8.
Yeah, I can see that. And I definitely would agree with you that but again, we've talked about, this is just the opportunity to show the FBS what we got, get our program in the spot that we want it to be, so then the next year we can be eligible for that Conference USA title. So, hey, wouldn't it be great if in the same year JSU, Alabama, Troy, and all the other football programs in the state that are eligible take titles home? That would be great.
Not Troy.
Hey, look, they had a decent season. I can't argue that. Okay, they won. They had a really good season this past year. So kiss my rear end.
Before we move on, did you see that AL.com article about the rebrand?
No, I didn't. I mean, we were going to talk about the rebrand, but I didn't see the.
Yeah, that's why I put it on. As I'm discussing it, I'll send it to you. So
I'm looking it up now.
The
Facebook page.
No, hold on real quick. So the rebrand it's actually a really good read. But the basis of it is, as we're moving up, we just did a university rebrand as far as our logo is concerned.
Yes.
So instead of our like usual just JSU with the tail feathers at the end of the U with Jacksonville State under it, it shows the rebrand to JAX State, Jax State, which a lot of people are mad about, and I don't understand why. The logo itself, it's going to have to grow on me because I personally think it could be better, but at the same time, like, I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Well, I think what people are upset about, and maybe again, if anybody that is listening has an opinion on this, please go ahead and write this down in your comments. The one thing that I like have a problem with, like, I get why they did it. Okay, so because how many, and thank you for the link, he just sent me the article. How many schools out there are JSU? You got Jackson State, you got us. So like I completely understand
and
how you want to go.
how many schools are Gamecocks?
Right.
There's 3: us, Coastal Carolina, and South Carolina.
Well, they're the Chanticleers, but whatever.
It's the Great Value brand. It's the Great Value Gamecock brand.
Right. But regardless, so that's why, like, I kind of understand why we went with the Jax State in our logo
It was to set us apart from all of them.
Right. So I completely understand that. But I also kind of understand why some people could be upset, because it's like, okay, well, regardless, we're still JSU. Like, there's nothing you can do to change that.
Well, I was about to say JSU itself is like this JSU, and even this logo is not going to go anywhere. For those of you that are listening, I'm wearing my JSU hat and it has the block JSU on it. That logo is not going to go anywhere. However, people, in my opinion, people don't have a right to be mad. I mean, they obviously have a right to be mad, but their reasoning to be mad is not a good enough reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm reading this article. Keep going.
Okay. Because JAX, Jax State, is in our fight song. We have been using Jax State since the 60s. We are just now executing on it. There's no reason to be mad about it at all. You good, Cody?
I'm just laughing at this article.
It's well written. It's funny, but it's well written.
But I mean, it makes a point. You know, we really do want to. He'll meet your parents in flip flops and his favorite Miller Lite T-shirt. This is great. I am absolutely loving this right now.
So there's one thing that he did suggest, and I want all JSU fans to carefully listen to me. Cody, you'll get to it in a minute. There's a part in it where it says Miami is the home of the U, Jax State is home of the X. If y'all don't take advantage of that and make JSU home of the X, y'all are dumb.
So you mean like make a logo out of an X?
No, so like, you know how this is Miami, right?
Yeah. So you're talking about
so JSU
like
would do this, yeah,
like that, like Wakanda Forever.
No, not that. This
is hilarious. I'm just dying right now.
It's a well-written article in my opinion.
It really is. It is a very good article overall. Joseph Goodman,
yes.
Props to you. But I mean, again, if you ask my personal opinion on this logo, okay, I don't hate it. I don't love it. I think the one thing that's bothering me is I wish it wasn't like Jax is in one color and State's in another color. Like, I think it needs to be either both in white or both in red. That's one thing. Now, obviously, when you put it onto logos, like for example, if you look at the the basketball jerseys, like it is all in one color. So like I completely understand like that's how it's actually going to come out, but like I don't hate it.
I don't either. It's going to take time to like grow on me because I loved our old logo. I loved it.
The one that was just the simple JSU with like the
With the
three
tail
little
feathers.
See, and a lot of people hated that one.
I loved it. It was so simple and just to the point.
But see, what's funny though? Here's the kicker: is that back when that logo got branded, everyone hated it, and then now that we did another rebrand, everyone loved the old one. So like, it's just the proof that it is a time process thing, and
well, nobody likes change,
nobody
especially
likes
in the state of
change.
Alabama.
We don't have time for that. But regardless, I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited for what we're doing, the changes that we're making, especially with what do you call it? I was mentioning it. We don't have it on the on our agenda, but JSU.
No. Wait, what?
What?
What were you about to say?
JSU in 23 in the 2023-2024 season, we're adding a girls bowling
Okay.
team. What did you think I was talking about?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, now I think everyone in the audience wants to know.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, well, text me. But regardless, so overall, I think we're in a good place. I think that what we're trying to do is good. I think there's a lot of change coming to the Gym of the Hills, and it's not bad. I think we're seeing a lot of change on campus life. I think we're seeing a lot of change in athletics and overall. No, I wasn't going to talk about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's great. I'm excited for this time for JSU. I think this is the time to show people who we are.
Well, okay, so no offense to bowling.
Okay,
if they were
first off,
hold
on. Before you say another word, I'm trying to get my sister to go to JSU because she plays bowling.
Okay, fair, but in my personal opinion, if they were going to bring back any women's sport, it should have been gymnastics.
Well, yes, I think that overall we still should have. I mean, yes, I would still love to have gymnastics, but you got to take one step at a time. You can't just say, okay, now we move to the FBS level. Let's now have a gymnastics team. You got to slowly add that kind of stuff, and we don't have the means nor the facilities to host and practice in a gymnastics setting. Yes, we do have our Coliseum, but at the same time, like, we're just not there yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet for a gymnastics team. We will be eventually, and I'd love to bring it back, but it's got to take time.
I agree, but at the same time, like, that's our most successful women's team that we used to have. Why would you not bring it back? We had it for 2 seasons, and both seasons we were D2 national champions.
It takes time. You never know. But again, overall, change is coming, whether you like it or not. Accept it
fast
and deal with it. But speaking of change, let's go ahead and change over to our other major sport of the time, which is JSU Basketball. And I'm just going to – I need a moment. What happened?
You're asking the wrong person because I'm wondering the same exact thing.
What happened?
I don't know.
Okay, so we don't have time to go through every single game that happened between now and before we went on break. But I'm gonna go through. I'm just gonna tell you win, loss, what's the score, and then we can talk about it overall. Okay. We can talk about the last couple ones a little bit more in detail, but okay. So JSU, when we got done right before break, JSU went and played Little Rock at Little Rock. We won.
No, we hosted Little Rock.
Was it a host? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we beat Little Rock 72-62. We lost to South Alabama 71-66. We won against Georgia Southwestern 78-73. Too close to call. Lost against UNA 66-62.
How do you lose to Little Brother?
You forget to cherish her. You lose to Jacksonville 62-46. You lose to Liberty 75-41. You lose to Bellarmine 75-62. We beat North Florida 72-63. We lose again to Jacksonville 68-62. What happened?
I don't know, but they better get their act together moving forward.
I mean, I am just flabbergasted at this point. Like
now we are tied for dead last with UNA and UCA.
Like, it makes no sense. Like, if you pull up our stats from last night's game against Jacksonville, we lost 68-62. 20 out of 59 field goals, 10 out of 37 3-pointers. Still doing well for free throws overall. Can't complain. 28 rebounds, 10 offensive rebounds, 12 assists, 5 steals, 1 block. Like, score-wise, it was just sporadic. King really didn't score much. Potter didn't really score much. Like, guys, did we just forget what we were doing?
At this point, forget playing as a team. You better find that star player and utilize him.
But I thought we did. I thought we had Potter and King, and apparently they just done.
Why are we going back to JSU basketball when I first started at Jacksonville? And why are we back there?
And like, the problem is that we're not talking about a young team. We're not talking about some sophomores and juniors. We're talking about like juniors and seniors. Majority.
Yeah.
Majority.
I mean, it's bad. This is not looking good for the rest of the season for us whatsoever.
Like, I just don't understand. Like, what did we do wrong? What did we do wrong? Like, I'm pulling up our schedule from the last couple games, and I'm just looking at like Bellarmine. Okay, I'm gonna pull up the stats for Bellarmine real quick. Okay, so our stats for Bellarmine landed us with 23 out of 48 field goals, 11 out of 33 pointers, only 5 out of 8 free throws, 24 rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds, 14 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks, 17 turnovers. Like, what happened? Like, did we just forget how to play? Or like, and I don't want to be the one to start pointing fingers at like coaches, but like, did something happen with Coach Harper that just like, is he off his game? Is it a bad season? Like,
I don't know, but like, if you look at Bellarmine, we led at half with, hold on. I'm just going to go back to conference play. UNA, we weren't that far behind. Like, we could have still won that game.
mm-hmm.
First time we played Jacksonville, we were only behind by 9, but they pretty much dominated us that entire game. Liberty, they dominated us the entire game. I mean, it was 38-13 at half.
But like, okay, UNA. I'm looking at the stats for UNA. 25 out of 66 field goals, 7 out of 25 3-point. We couldn't shoot a 3-pointer the entire game?
I guess not.
And again, okay, I don't have a lot of,
But here's the thing. The past 3 games, Bellarmine, North Florida, and Jacksonville, we have led at the half. And then it's almost like we get complacent. Like, are you kidding me? This is not the same team from last year. Player-wise, it's the same exact team. But as far as the results go, it is not the same team. They've got to figure something out. You've got to stay consistent playing-wise throughout the entire game. Don't be leading at half and then just give up the lead in the second half.
And I get it. So I try to reiterate this as much as possible when it comes to just talking about sports in general. Yes, I'm not the one out on the court. I'm not the one out on the field. And I completely understand that it is a different experience when you're that person. I talk to my wrestlers about this all the time because they're like, you're not the one on the mat. You're not the one in the middle of the match. And yes, it is easier for us to just say, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Because we see it from that perspective. And I completely get it. But at the same time, what are we not doing? Or what are we doing that is messing us up? Or what are we not doing that could help us? That's my question. It is a simplified question that I hope there is a simplified answer. Is morale down? Is it just training and practices aren't going good? Are the teams just actually better? Or what? It bothers me. This is how we're going to keep playing.
Or are we looking too far ahead?
It could be, because I get it. We are making the jump. We are making the change. So, but at the same time, just in the same format that we talked about with football, don't you want to make sure that you're showing up, showing out, so that when you are making that transition over to a Division I FBS conference, that you can speak what you're throwing?
Right.
Well,
I mean, look, take a school that is moving with us, Sam Houston. Look at the basketball season they're having right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had a horrible football season, horrible,
which is funny
compared to what they're used to. I mean, it was bad, and we had a successful football season, and now they're having a successful basketball season. And excuse my language, but we're shitting the bed.
But I mean, it happens from. Let's agree or disagree. Majority of your programs out there are focusing on one or the other. There are some rare programs out there that you do start seeing the equality in how you treat a program, especially programs like football, basketball, baseball, etc. Because I think about Kentucky. Kentucky puts a lot into their basketball program, but they have been in the last couple of years putting more into the football program. Vanderbilt's a good example of, well, we don't really focus on our football, but we do focus a lot on our baseball and basketball. Other exceptions, I would argue the other exceptions where you do see an equality in it is Auburn, Alabama, Georgia in some forms.
From time to time.
Duke is an example that it's more basketball than football.
UNC.
So I get it.
And at times Georgia Tech.
But is that the road we're going down? Is that the road that we're about to fall into? Is it okay, we're putting more towards the football program than we are the basketball program? Are the two correlated? Are they not correlated? I don't know.
So those are your two biggest money makers for the university. Why would you not funnel more money into those two programs? It just makes common financial sense.
Well, my question is what are we going to do about baseball? Because arguably speaking, Baseball, it's not the same format. In baseball, it didn't matter who we played because no matter what, we still went to the
Tournament.
We still went to the tournament. So I mean,
But also, it doesn't. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I was involved in baseball and softball. It is not. Baseball and softball is not more expensive than basketball and football. I mean, not by a long shot. Like you could easily take. I don't know how much, but you could probably take some money out of that budget and funnel it into the basketball program because our football program's fine. But at the same time, like the people who follow baseball and softball, you're going to piss them off too because you're taking money out of their individual budget and putting it in the basketball budget.
I really need to see. I really hope that we're going to start taking reality into check, and to really see where we're at. Because right now, we're not anywhere good. And the next couple games aren't really going to be deciding factors. We're not going to start seeing a deciding factor until the end of the month, going into the new month, into February, because our next game is going to be Florida Gulf Coast, which should be an easy win. And by God, I hope it is. What?
No.
Am I thinking of the wrong school? Probably.
Yeah, because these two are in the top 6.
My bad. I was thinking of another Florida team. I was thinking about North Florida, but like Florida Gulf Coast, we have to win that game. Okay, Stetson, we need to win that game. Lipscomb, we need to win that game. Austin P, we need to win that game. Like, we have got to turn it around if we want to be successful at the end of the season. That's the only way it's going to happen. And right now, I'm not seeing it. Like, I'm not.
We'll be lucky to make the ASUN tournament,
right? Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's just it makes no sense. How do we go from having a season that we did last year to, like, and granted, we weren't rainbows and butterflies last season. We still had some ups and downs, but at the same time, like, this has been a consistent, like, the only games that we have won have been really easy teams, or arguably easy teams. Not speaking ill against other team programs, but at the same time, like, they are easy wins. But like, Bellarmine should have been a win. It should have been
a win. UNA should have been a win.
Liberty should have been closer. Arguably. But I don't know, man. Like, I just
Liberty and the first time we played Jacksonville should have been the only 2 games that we lost. Because if you look at how close most of our losses were, we could have beat South Alabama, who only lost by 10 to Alabama. That would have redeemed our loss a little bit to Alabama. A 4-point loss to UNA. That could have easily been a win. I'll throw Bellarmine in the games we should have lost. But then again, we led at half. You don't give up a lead at halftime. But I mean, it was a 13-point loss, so I got to keep it in the lose column. This past time we played Jacksonville, should have been a win. A 6-point loss should have been a win. That's 3 schools we should have beat. And we would be 3-2 in the conference right now.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, 3-2. Because, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. And like, it's really starting to bother me, and I don't know what else to say. Like, I can't get more analytical because basketball is not my forte. Football is. It's a little bit better for me. But like, basketball, I just want to see progress. And I feel like we're not hitting any progress. We're just kind of sitting here. We're sitting stagnant.
Right. And I haven't watched much of these games. I've like caught glimpses of them. But I mean, from the start, like our team is pretty much like the old Jacksonville State. So I don't know if it's because I don't watch the game. Maybe I need to watch all the games in order for us to win. Maybe it's that superstition. But I don't know what happens. But when I'm watching the game, they're good.
Yeah.
It always happens after I turn the game off, or if I don't watch the game, period.
Yeah.
And even then, like when I'm not watching the game at all, I'm keeping up with stats and like the score on my phone.
Mhm.
Like this entire past weekend in Frisco, I would occasionally check Score Mobile and ESPN for stuff about our basketball game.
Mhm.
Like I wasn't in an area to where I could watch the game, but I was keeping up with stats and the score. Like there, you can ask our group. There was one time I literally slammed my phone down because I think it was the Bellarmine game because we
Right.
led at half, and then I see the final score, and I literally I say some choice words, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Are really?"
Yeah. I mean, so the way I have, so again, I'm in the same boat. I can't watch all the games, whenever they come on. I'm not always around the TV. I do work a lot, so on and so forth. But like, I still have I still have it on the Score app where I do get like highlights and score updates, and like it'll update me every couple of minutes, and like I keep up with it, and I just watch it just go up and down and up and down and up, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, it just makes no
We are
sense.
not at Six Flags. This should not be a roller coaster ride.
I know. But ultimately, the way I see it is that we got to get back into it. We got to have our right mindset, or whatever the problem is. We have to deal with it. We got to deal with it now. That's ultimately how I feel about it. Is there anything else you would like to add on that? I have a fun story I want to share in a second, but any last minute thoughts you have for this?
Well, I mean, I'm going to a music educators conference this next weekend, but I will be in an area around when the games are happening,
Right.
and I'll be able to watch it. So maybe the fact that I watch it this time, watch both these games, we win these games. And if that superstition ends up being true, I ain't missing a single basketball game for the rest of the season.
Well, guys, you heard it from Brandon himself. And if it's the fact that happens, then by all means, he is not allowed to not watch another JSU basketball game. But I did want to share despite the fact that our team has been a stick in the mud, I did want to share a really nice story with you guys. I don't know if and I always get his last name wrong. So one of my former saxophone bandmates from JSU, who is on the hardcore. He's in hardcore, which is our pet band. In case if you're not a fan of JSU, but you're just listening to us, hi, welcome. But so this story comes from his name is Daniel. This story comes from him, and I just thought you guys might like to hear it. So this is from his Facebook page. So yesterday, JSU's own hardcore pet band was playing at the basketball game, as we do, and at some point in the second half, a student from a neighboring town, possibly in his first years of band, came up to us. He ended up being a saxophone player, and he wanted all of us to sign his hoodie. He joined us in the second half when we played our tunes and cheered, and he was having a blast. I think that this is a moment he will carry with him in his musical career. It's things like this that makes me glad I'm going into my field where I can make a positive impact on the next generation of musicians. So I don't know who the kid is. I didn't get a chance to reach out to Daniel before reading this post, but I think that's great. I think the story is amazing. And I appreciate having those types of stories because it reminds me that even though I may be upset with our basketball team, it's stories like this that makes me glad to be from Jacksonville State
Mm-hmm.
to watch a kid who was probably just like me getting into JSU or wanting to figure out what I want to do with my life, and to see him be welcomed with open arms by this team and this group of musicians. And so kudos to the Hardcore Pep Band, kudos to my buddy Daniel and the rest of the saxophones. Thank you for just being good people. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the first time I've heard of something like that happening since we've been at JSU, at least.
and it's hard because, unfortunately, and this goes with any, and most people will probably agree with me with this statement, but most people would agree that when we're talking about like anything with the school or anything, like most of the time we just focus on negative things. We never
Mm-hmm.
hear the positive stories. We never hear the nice things that happen on a campus. We always hear the negative things, unfortunately, because that's what our society thrives on.
Which is sad.
But, there are lots and lots and lots of great stories that we always forget to tell. And so that's why I wanted to share it, because it's a nice story. It reminds me, and hopefully Brandon reminds you of why we love JSU and why
Mm-hmm.
we love this university and why you got your master's. And I may possibly be going back to get my master's either to JSU. But it just reminds me why I'm a Gamecock and why I'm proud to be one. So I just thought I'd share that story, and hopefully somebody gets some inspiration behind it.
Yeah, for sure. That I'm glad you shared that story, because everything that you just said, yeah, it reminds me why I went to JSU in the first place. It reminded me why I love this university, why I chose the field that I went into, why the kind of teacher that I want to end up being. So
Right.
yeah, thank you for sharing that story.
Of course. It just reminds us why we can always be cocky. No. You didn't like that?
It was a bad dad joke.
It's okay. Well, speaking of cocky, let's go ahead and give out our cocky predictions for the next 2 games that we have for basketball. Even though I don't want to even say it. So the first game, like I said, is going to be on the 19th. It's going to be at Florida Gulf Coast at 6 p.m. And then we also play on the 21st, Stetson at 1 p.m. So, Brandon, go ahead with your predictions on both games.
People are not going to like me. Okay, so I will say this. I think the most winnable game out of these two is our next one against Florida Gulf Coast. They're 3-3 in the conference. So I think that's probably going to be the most winnable game. So I'm actually going to predict that JSU upsets Florida Gulf Coast. As for Stetson, they're 5-1 in the conference. They are tied for first place. I don't think we're going to have a chance against Stetson. I'm predicting a Hatters win. I am so sorry, Gamecock fans.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I believe in JSU, but I think Florida Gulf Coast is going to beat us, and so is Stetson.
Oh, so you're picking like JSU to lose both.
Yeah. Listen, y'all know this.
We didn't plan this, because I'm usually the one that picks
He's usually the
optimist.
Yeah, I'm usually the optimist, but like I can't. I'm sorry. Like they're not showing me anything that gives me any hope right now, and so yeah, it hurts. It hurts to pick against JSU, but. You know what? I'm going to change that up a little bit. I'm going to go the same direction you did. I think if we do win one, it'll probably be Florida Gulf Coast. But I think the probability of us losing that game is higher. I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm going to call it like I call it. So.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think there's going to be a way. I don't think there's going to be any chance that we beat Stetson.
Yeah.
Florida Gulf Coast different, a little like minuscule chance that we beat them, but Stetson, not a chance. I don't think so. Stetson's really good this year.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm gonna hopefully catch the Gulf Coast game. I think I'm gonna try my best to catch that game as much as possible. Thursday's gonna be a super busy day for me, but no matter what, we'll keep an eye out. One last thing I want to say before we do our closing remarks. I do want to just give a shout out and a prayer to the families of the Georgia football player that unfortunately lost his life, and the staff member, Devin Willock and Chandler LaCroix. I just want to, unfortunately, they did lose their lives in a fatal car crash on early Sunday morning after the Georgia celebration. So my thoughts and our thoughts and prayers go towards those families, as well as the recent information that just came out in the University of Alabama with one of the former players. So just sending our thoughts and prayers to them during this difficult time.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we do want to thank each and every one of you for listening to us. And if you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on all of our social media platforms, because that helps us stay more connected with you. And an update, be on the lookout, because Brandon and I will soon be going live. We'll be actually going live for everybody to see our not so beautiful faces. At least my face is beautiful. I can't talk for Brandon. I always refer to the other direction. There you go, because it's mirrored. But maybe you get to see my beautiful face. Brandon, not so much. It's okay. We know who's the better looking one out of the dynamic duo. It's okay.
Okay.
But we love each and every one of you. You know that. Again, follow us on our social media platforms, and of course, always follow our FCS Fan Nations podcast and our Fan Nation page on Facebook and on Twitter. Get involved in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot has happened. The one thing that we didn't talk about, congratulations to the South Dakota State University. We actually didn't talk about that.
My new FCS team.
So
ears up.
So Brandon's
down.
So Brandon's on the bandwagon. It's fine. Because what was your first team? Eastern Washington. And then now you're going for South Dakota State.
If you were around their fans in Frisco, you would understand why I picked South Dakota State.
More than likely. But Brandon, before we actually click off, we didn't get a chance. Tell us what Brandon went to the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
How'd it go?
The drive out there was interesting. It took me until this weekend to fully recover from the driving.
Fair.
But as far as like the trip itself, I got to meet everybody that was involved, that is involved in FCS Fans Nation. Got to meet some fans that I've interacted with on the Facebook page before. I unblocked Brian Thompson and finally got to meet him, and I sent him a friend request on the trip. Love you, Brian. Love you, buddy.
Lord.
Got to meet some new podcasters that do stuff for the Summit League. So that was cool. If you haven't checked, if you want to check them out, the name of the podcasts are Reaching for the Summit. They cover men's basketball and women's basketball. And then Seventh Rotation, who is it covers Summit League volleyball, which, fun fact for future next year, because our volleyball team's really good, but we don't know jack crap about volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
So we may be bringing the host of that podcast on for next season. So be on the lookout for that. Once this season ends, we'll work some stuff out. But yeah, I got to meet a lot of new people. It was a lot of fun. I'm excited for possibly next year or the year after when I go next.
Well, and again, that's why we tell you guys to go follow and go on to FCS Fan Nations for Twitter and Facebook, because you're missing on so much. And I wish I could have been able to go to the game and go hang out with Brandon, but unfortunately,
Oh, if you went, you would have forced me on. We did a lot of karaoke. You would have forced me on that stage.
Probably.
Everybody tried to get me on the stage, and I'm like, I have horrible stage fright performing alone.
Right. But again, that's the benefit that we get to the FCS Fan Nation, is that we are literally, we're not just fans, we are a nation. We are a family.
A community. We are a family. Like this network, like finally getting to meet them and basically adding some more people into our little group this past year or this year. Like our little group the entire weekend. I mean, it's literally a family. The community itself acts like a family. Like it's just fun. If you get the chance to go out to Frisco, even if your team is not involved in the national championship, go. It is so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah. And again, that's why I love it, and that's why I appreciate them and allowing us to use this platform, and hopefully continuing to get to use this platform, because we love you. We love you guys. You're amazing. But again, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for everything that you do to support me and Brandon. And again, if there's anything that we can do to make this podcast even better, we're open to criticism, but we can't promise that we'll always listen. Especially Brandon. Brandon won't listen. We're both.
I am stubborn.
I
am a Virgo. I am very stubborn.
We're both Virgos. That's what makes us like terrible, because we constantly just clash. So, but again, thank you guys. You're amazing. We love each and every one of you. And to our JSU, aka our Jack State fans, go Gamecocks and fear the beak.